Hello, my name is Daniel Yuck. Thank you for watching my video today. I appreciate your time. In today's video, I want to share with you how I go about creating a realistic type of tattoo stencil for more of the realism type of tattoos. Should you have any questions at any point throughout this video, I'm going to encourage you to drop a comment down below. I will do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring my bell, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. I do have social medias under the same name as my YouTube channel. I have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I would truly appreciate the support over there, all under Daniel Yuck as well. If you enjoy my content and find my channel helpful, consider checking out my Patreon. You might find some useful content over there. With that being said, let's dive straight on into this. Starting from the very top here, I feel like it's important to note that this is going to be a digital based process, which means I'm not going to be drawing in any stencils by hand on this video. I'll save that information for another video. For this one, I'm going to be working off of my iPad using Procreate. I'm sure a similar process can be found using an Android tablet and a different application, but I just wanted to point that out that I will be using an iPad with Procreate for this demonstration. This process can be done with just about any image that we come across. If it's an image that we took on our phone or an image that we have that's an older image, let's say of a loved one for example, we can scan that and then we can bring it into Procreate and convert that image the way that I'm going to share with you here in this video and use it for a realistic type of tattoo. So let's approach it this way. What I'm looking at right here, I'll go ahead and put right here so that way you can see it better on your end. Now, where I begin is with a blank canvas, and I need the image that I want to convert. So let me demonstrate using this rose right here. We can see that this rose is more on the realistic end. That's a good thing. I want this design to be more shading, less lining. So this is going to be a good start. What I want to do is I want to start with duplicating this layer right here, and then I want to go up here to this tool that you see me clicking on, and then I'm going to select on the first option, and which is going to be hue, saturation, and brightness. I want to take that saturation all the way down to remove any color from the image. That's good. That's a step in the right direction. We have two layers. What I want to do is duplicate to make a third, so now we have three. In this layer, we have this little option right here that has a letter N. I'm going to select that, which is going to bring down a pop-up menu on that layer. I want to navigate to color dodge. And then you can see now we have a lot less stencil to work with. That's great. We're heading in the right direction. From here, I want to go back to that layer. I want to select the open area that you see me selecting right here. And I can turn it this way just to confirm. It's this open area. And then you just want to select invert. As you can see, now we have nothing on the design at all. This is still great. We're heading in the right direction. On that same layer that we've been working on, which is a third layer, I'm going to navigate back to that tool up top. I'm going to select Gaussian blur this time, and I want to be real precise and meticulous with how much of that effect I add. So you can see, I'm probably going to add about maybe 5%. That looks about good. And then I'm just going to go ahead and select that and lock that in there. You can see now we have a very, very faint design that requires more shading than it does lining. That's perfect. I want to combine these two layers right here. I want to personally duplicate the layer. And then I'm going to go up to the top right here. And then I'm going to select the option of curves because I want to add a little bit more darkness. So that way when I print the stencil on a thermal printer, it can print just fine. And to do that, I'm going to drag this line this way, and you can see the design darken up. Like so. So now I've converted a realistic image into a completely printable and tattooable stencil. From here, I like to keep organized, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right swipe on these three layers, the original, and then we have the inverted, and then we have the third layer. I'm going to just simply swipe right and then group them together, so that way I can move them all together. If I want to resize, duplicate, it'd be easier to do so and manage along the way. Now, keep in mind, this process can be applied to almost any realistic image that we come across that we like. So for this example, I want to do this again with a lowrider. Let's use this one right here, for example, as we do have some more detail that's open right here in this area. Let's do that exact same process. So we start with the original. I'm going to duplicate and get another, which we are going to saturate and make black and white, as you see. And then we're going to want to duplicate again. And this is the one that we're going to want to go ahead and navigate on over to the color dodge and then select invert, like so. Navigate it back on over to the tool up top and then select the gloss and blur option, and then meticulously apply as needed. This is going to be personal preference, as much detail as you want to capture. That'll be up to you. For this design, I'm going to use about 4. On the rows, I believe we used about 5.5. I'm going to stick with 4. And then I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to merge those 2 layers. Like so. And then I'm going to duplicate this one, and then I want to bring that curve down a little bit to make it a little bit more darker. Keep in mind, I am going to be printing in a thermal printer, so I want as much saturation as I can get to capture the most possible detail I can capture. So I'm going to navigate back on up to that tool up there. I'm going to select curves, and then bring this line down like so until I've reached the darkness that I'm happy with. So I think that's about cool right there. And then I'm going to right swipe on those 3 layers, group them together just for organization purposes, so that way they're easier to manage long term. And that is how I went about converting this image right here into a stencil that I can easily print and tattoo. And keep in mind, I'm not doing any tracing or anything like that. I'm not saying that that's not a way that we can't approach it. By all means, that's a very good way to go about stenciling as well. But if we're doing something that is more realistic and we don't want to go about stenciling by hand, I think this is a good alternative to that problem. So these are the results right here. Keep in mind, I'm not doing any stenciling by hand or anything. This is all digital. Simply through this process, print, and we'll be on our way. I'll show you some prints here shortly as well, but I just wanted to point that out. This is completely 110% digital based. This is a cool way to go about creating stencils without having to do them by hand. And I'm not saying doing them by hand is wrong or not a way to go about it, as it is an effective way to make tattoo stencils. I just wanted to kind of share with you all, this is one of the many ways now that we can go about creating tattoo stencils. So that one was a lowrider type of stencil. You can see that I have created a few others over here. Here is this type of stencil right here that I've created, and I've done this with several different types of tattoos. Here is like this, I guess native type of tattoo that I've stenciled up right here as well. Here is this one right here. So this is an image that Lily Yuck took of our daughter Langley Yuck, and I turned it into a tattoo stencil as well. So again, if you took an image from your phone, this process can apply. You can turn anything into a tattoo stencil. I'll go ahead and touch base more on that in another video. Before this one, I kind of want to share with you the process on how we can go about converting images into a stencil that we can work with. So let me do like one more here, and then I'll get into the print and show you all how these print. So let's go ahead and demonstrate here with this rose right here, and I don't know how well the results will vary from each and every one that we do. However, I would still try it to see how it comes out. So here is the original. I'm going to start by duplicating like usual, going up to this tool right here. I'm going to select saturation, taking it all the way down, converting it into a black and gray image. Duplicate that. We're going to select the end, head on over to color dodge, select the middle right here, and then I'm going to select invert. I'm going to go back up to the tool. I'm going to select gloss and blur, and I'm going to use just a little bit. On this one, I'll put a little bit more, like right around there. And then I'm going to merge these 2 layers together. I'm going to duplicate it, so that way I always have the original. And then I'm going to add some curves to this right here to make it a little bit more darker, like so. That right there is actually a beautiful stencil. And then from here, I'm going to right swipe on these just to group them together. And I'm ready to print this design right here. It's really that easy, that quick. I personally am a big fan of this process. Here's a little side tip that I like to do. When I have the design done, I always like to keep the original 3 layers. So what I tend to do is I like to, for example, have the original grouping right here. I will duplicate the original grouping, and then with that one I'll turn off the original, and then I will flatten the new duplicate layer that I just made, so that way I can go ahead and resize and turn as needed. So now that we're more familiar with how to go about actually converting any image, let's get into the print and let's see the quality of them. So here we have these designs right here. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print them into the MHTP 8008 tattoo printer. And this is a thermal printer. An inkjet printer would print these right here just fine. Maybe even just the raw image and inkjet will do that, but I'm focusing more on a thermal printer. So let's see what type of results we're getting here. Not bad, not bad. That's completely workable, especially with the reference. And that's great right there too. You can see a lot of the detail already being captured. So fantastic. So here we have some of the roses printing. So here is one of the designs. These are the floral designs that we converted a little while ago. And you can see these are completely workable stencils. Even if we're going to be lining or shading, we can use this stencil for either or. We could turn it into a realistic type of rose, or we can do a traditional style, to each their own. But you can see that we are getting completely workable results right here. Allow me to show you another one. Here is another design. As you can see, it captured a lot of detail. We can make out a lot of what's going on here. And with a reference, this can be completely applied and easily applied. Again, if we're knowing what technical application we're going to be using, if we have a plan, and again, if we have that reference, it can make it a breeze to apply this tattoo. Be sure to check out my Patreon, as we are going to be doing these on my Patreon. I'm going to be shooting 4K step-by-step follow along for these stencils, so be sure to check that out. I will leave links for you down in the description so you can check out my Patreon. But you can see all the details were also captured within this one as well. Let me show you another one. Here is another one right here. And again, all of the details are captured. If I didn't know any better, if I just saw this stencil, it looks as though it was lined. However, it was turned from a real image over to a stencil in less than a minute and printed. The entire process would be really, really easy and painless if this is the approach that I'm going to be taking. And I felt like it'd be important to make this video so that way I could shed some awareness on it, let you all know that this is a possibility and a way that we can go about creating stencils. Let me show you one more. Here's a stencil that was taken on an iPhone, and you can see this was printed, and all of these are printed with the thermal printer, and we still got good results. If we're going to be using an inkjet, the process would be pretty straightforward. We would just stop at the saturation part where we convert the image from color to black and white, and we could pretty much print from there. But the thermal printing is a little bit different, and that's what this video is covering as well. And you can see, even with the thermal printing, we were still able to capture details, important details, like the details within the eyes, within the nose, and all of those little shapes right there do make up the features of the individual. So I do feel like this was captured well and converted over to a stencil very, very well. And again, this one was taken from an iPhone. One thing that I felt was important to touch base on here is you can see that these roses really didn't make it out of this print to something that we can actually work with. This would be rather difficult to work with. You can see this one right here is decent. It's not too bad. This one's kind of workable here. So that's something that we can use. However, these roses didn't come out too strong. A couple of ways that we can go about correcting this sort of issue when we are printing is a couple of ways. One, we can correct it within Procreate off the bat, and then, you know, maybe use the curve feature to make it more darker, and then export already, you know, darkened and ready to go. Or whatever application we're using to print, if that application has some inner app settings that we can use to darken or something to this extent before we print, you may want to check that out as well. Maybe you can even do both to see what type of results you get. But these are some ways that you can go about correcting this if you're getting this sort of print on your end with thermal printers. That will be it for this one, and let me know how it goes on your end. If you have any questions at all, I encourage you to drop a comment down below. I will do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. I appreciate you watching my video. Please don't forget to subscribe subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring that bell for me, as I'm going to be bringing more videos like this for you all. I do have social medias under the same name as this YouTube channel. I have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I would truly appreciate the support over there as well. If you enjoyed this content or find my channel helpful, check out my Patreon, as you might find some useful content over there as well. Again, thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching. You have a good day.